that person now knows a significant portion of your net worth and your address. And those things aren't good to show to people in tandem.
Lori, I see you're up here. You want to ask us a question?
Sure. I'm a newer Bitcoin person, and I was just wondering, I used to be on Coinbase. I took that off. I have Sparrow wallet. I have a cold card, and I used Phoenix when I was able to in the US. And I was just wondering, so I was doing like a smaller transaction on Sparrow, and I saw something come up, like it shows like 2 transactions, and it has something, and it says something like UTXO, and like one of them's just been sitting there for a long time. And I was just wondering like what that's about, or where is great information to find about UTXOs to understand that a little bit better.
To understand the question, sorry, are you saying that you can see a transaction and it's pending in Sparrow?
Yeah, it shows like it has like 2. Like it shows like 2, like with the cent, and then it says something like with UTXO in there. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, because I don't know if I know what I'm talking about fully.
Are you looking at it right now?
No,
I'm not.
How about, I've got Sparrow in front of me. I'm gonna ask you a few questions and see if we can kind of narrow down what you were looking at. This would be from your main like home transaction screen where you can see your balance and all the previous transactions.
Correct. It was the first time I've ever used like my Sparrow wallet to send. I used the other Phoenix and stuff prior. So it shows me that it's set, like when I actually pull up like the transaction, it shows like 2 different things, and it says something about like a UTXO, and I know it's probably, someone said those are like smaller transactions, I believe.
So did you click on the little magnifying glass and it pulled up a little, like almost like a flow chart, and two little things are coming together into one, and then is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. And I can see like where the chain on like 1 is complete, but like 1 it doesn't show as complete.
Oh.
So does that mean it sent, or it didn't send, or it's stuck somewhere?
Did you import your Phoenix wallet into Sparrow? Is that what you're?
No. Okay. I had done that, like that. That's separate. I had that. But I used to just use. I would when I buy in like Bitcoin, I would just send it to like I'd break up and send some to my Sparrow and then some to Phoenix. So I was like, to send like money, I was using Phoenix because it was easier, and I'd never seen like UTXO stuff. So sorry, a little beginner here.
No, that's good. So I can tell you in general. So maybe I'll explain what a UTXO is, and then maybe that'll help narrow down kind of what you were looking at. I'm uncertain right now, but the idea is Bitcoin is not. It's not like say a bank account where you receive a transaction, you've just kind of got a lump sum balance. It's more like cash. So every time you receive a transaction, whatever amount that transaction was for is sitting as a chunk of Bitcoin within your wallet. So it's like you could open up your wallet, and if somebody had sent you, say like 1 million sats and then 5 million sats and then 10 million sats, you can look in your wallet and see those pieces of Bitcoin as those denominations. The difference between cash and Bitcoin is that when you go to spend, you end up combining UTXOs if it's beyond a certain threshold. So let's say you wanted to spend 12 million sats, you'd probably grab your 10 and your 5. And you would use those, and what would happen is it would combine those together. It basically destroys them kind of, but you can think of it like melting down 2 coins and then making 2 new coins, one for the perfect exact amount you want to send to the person, and then another for the change that comes back into your wallet. And I suppose a third, that would be like the fee that you pay. So it's kind of like every time you receive a transaction, you get a new UTXO for that exact amount sitting in your wallet. And every time you send a transaction, you take a UTXO or a couple or more, and you melt them down to the exact amount you're sending and your change and the fee. And so that's what that chart kind of shows. It'll say, oh, you grabbed this piece of Bitcoin and this piece of Bitcoin, and you sent it here, and you got some change here, and then you paid a fee down here. And that's what that flow chart is.
Okay, and just to follow up with that, just so I understand this just a little better, if it's okay. When you put money into your wallet, like, is it like when you said like it takes chunks from here and there and melts it down? Is that like by the amounts that you put in? So is it better not to, like, if you're going to do smaller amounts at a time, like not put them until you have like a lump sum more? Does that make sense?
You're definitely you're going down a good rabbit hole to go down. It's a tricky one to navigate, but the general idea is there's a double-edged sword here. There's one of privacy and there's one of keeping your fees low. And so the way you can think of it in terms of fees is the more chunks of Bitcoin you use, or you can think of it like if every time you paid in cash, every bill that you used incurred a small fee, it would be a lot more expensive to spend 100 $1 bills than it would be to spend a single $100 bill. So your fees are impacted by how many chunks of Bitcoin you're using. So in that aspect, yes, it's better to have larger chunks. On the opposite end of the spectrum, it's also a little bit like if you're going to spend, the merchant that you're spending at can see the change that they're giving back to you. So if you go and you purchase a t-shirt for, $30 and you pay with $100 bill, not a big deal that the merchant sees your $70 and change. But if you pull out a full Bitcoin in like 10 years and you make a purchase and it's trivial, and then the person sees that like $10 million in change flowed back to your wallet and they're also shipping you something, that person now knows a significant portion of your net worth and your address. And those things aren't good to show to people in tandem. So there's a bit of a balancing act here. So to answer your question, like when you're dealing with non-Lightning Bitcoin, like on-chain regular Bitcoin transactions, I'd say aim for UTXOs or chunks of Bitcoin that are north of around 1 million sats or more. Like 5 million is also great. That's fine too. But try not to have ones that are too small. Like you don't want, 200,000 sat, 500,000 sat chunks of Bitcoin, because when the fees spike, the percentage of that UTXO that will be incurred as a fee will begin to be a little bit higher than you might like. So yeah, larger chunks for on-chain stuff. And then when you want to use spending, it's kind of better to peel off Bitcoin into a wallet that's better than spending. So previously you said you were using Phoenix. It's not a bad idea for something like that where you say, I'm going to pull off 1 million sats and I'll put it into Phoenix or whatever the replacement ends up being. And then you have easy spending for smaller amounts. I hope that's sort of helpful there. I know
that was very helpful. Thank you very much.